Madam Mayor, recording has begun.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our first meeting of the year, New Year. Mr. Town Clerk, would you please do a roll call?
Certainly. Councilman Goldsmith. Councilman Trollinger.
Present.
Mayor James.
Here.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward.
Present.
And Councilman Jenkins. Present. Madam Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And one of these things is not like the other. I'm the only one who said here, huh? All right, would you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Mr. Town Manager, the agenda.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Town Council, we do have some proposed amendments for you this evening. We've request to move agenda item 4.5, which is bird sculpture final design, up in the agenda to, we're going to call it 4.1A, just under the ratification of town treasurer appointment. This is due to the presenter being online, and we thought we'd move them up in the queue just to in observance of their time. Additionally, we would like to request removing agenda items 4.3 and 6.2, which pertain to the resolution 22-18 Police Department drone program. That's being done administratively as there's some additional massaging that needs to take place before we'll bring that back to council.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda as amended?
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the agenda as presented with, well, not as presented, but with the noted changes.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, approval of minutes. Hopefully you all have had the opportunity to look at the minutes. If so, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the December 13th, 2022 Town Council meeting minutes. There's one correction. It's just a little small typo, 2 words run together that needs to be changed.
Okay, so the content is, there's no problem with the
Content is
content.
good.
All right, do I have a second?
Second, Madam Mayor.
All right, in the discussion, can you please point out where the,
1.2 roll call, Town Clerk Howard took the roll and it's rolled together.
okay. So with that slight correction, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Fantastic. That brings us to our petitions, communications, and appearances. And do we have, I see Town Clerk, Mr. Town Clerk, looking to see if anybody has signed up to speak this evening?
No one in person is signed up to speak.
Do we have anyone online that has indicated that they would like to speak this evening? I don't know if they're all muted or not, or,
Madam Mayor, we have no one online indicating they would like to speak.
okay. All right, thank you very much. That will bring us down to the matters of council discussion. And 4.1, the ratification of town treasurer appointment.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Town Council, I'm excited to bring this item to you tonight, and I don't get excited very often. The purpose of this agenda item is to request the Town Council ratify by vote Karina Larson as the next town treasurer per the requirements of section C8-1 of the town charter.
This is open for discussion. We are so excited. I am so excited to have you back. And do we need, Mr. Town Manager, to have a motion?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
That would be.
Well, that was a little premature in my discussion. So if anyone so feels moved to accept the town treasurer appointment, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I would make a motion to accept the town manager's recommendation for the hiring of the financial director as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Besides,
Just a great opportunity to move forward, and it's a good timing with start with our budget preparation scheduled soon. So
and Karina is not, she is well aware of the workings of the town. I believe you were here for 8 years prior, and we welcome you back. I'm assuming, once the vote is taken, but thank you for the consideration. So I will make this
Sorry, just for matters of discussion, just for the benefit of those that might be on the call and may not be familiar with our outstanding candidate. Mr. Manuel, can you give us just a brief rundown of background of our new potential?
Other than the fact that Karina had been with the organization for, as the mayor said, 8 years and proved herself continuously to be very diligent and very hardworking. She worked under 2 town treasurers I'm aware of with the town, and just continued to shine throughout both. Well, I only had experience with the last town treasurer, but I've never heard anything but good things about Karina, and my experiences personally have always been positive, and she is definitely someone who will bring a lot of energy and institutional knowledge she will bring back to the organization, which is very important in where we find ourselves.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? With that, all in favor of the ratification of the town treasurer appointment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome on board. When is your official start date?
January 30th.
Great. Well, thank you. We look forward to having you back. Brings us, do you need to, would you like to say anything?
Again, can't wait.
Thank you. And I saw, Mr. Manuel, you had.
Yeah, I think it also would befit the organization to recognize Martha Vess, who above and beyond went out of her way to keep us propped up and in a good position. Her work has not gone unnoticed, and we really appreciate everything she's done during the transition.
Absolutely.
Yes, you were definitely thrown into the trenches and you did fabulous. So thank you, Mark. Really appreciate all the hard work. All right, next on our agenda is 4.1A, which will be the bird sculpture final design. Interim Director Phipps and Shannon Wang from the art group. Floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. I'm Madam Mayor and Councilwomen and men. So we visited you guys a few months ago, last year, I can't remember when, and for a proposal for the bird sculpture in front of Town Hall. Howard Connolly, the artist, was paid to do the perspective drawings. We got those in. And they should be online there, and I believe part of the agenda as well. Excuse me, and showing some people, I know that there was a bit of a mindset difference of what we were going to get, and then seeing the perspective drawings kind of opened up different the different approach to the sculpture, and Howard is online to answer questions, which I'm sure you all have some.
All right, I'm going to thank you very much for the brief capturing of what we talked about last year. I'm going to open up the floor first to council to see if they have any questions, concerns, comments.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to know why the change? That was, it's nice, but it wasn't what we were presented with initially. So what made the changes?
I believe, I'll speak just quickly for Howard, and then maybe he can, I think the perspective drawing that one angle it is the same, although it looks different when you look at it from other angles now. I think multiple people thought that it was going to be a rounded bird, I believe. So when you're looking at it from that that bottom right view where it has the 4 drawings there, in that sense, it is the same drawing, but when you get to the perspectives, it's it's not a rounded bird. So while it's different, I think it's still unique and cool and new and inventive. I'm probably speaking too much for Howard, so.
I may, Madam Mayor and Council, have you met Howard before? I don't believe you have.
I have met him virtually, but I have not met him in person.
Okay, so.
Oh, I might have at one point met him. Howard, I'm sorry if I don't remember if I met you, but
Hello,
welcome.
thank you.
Many public sculptures for Discovery Channel, for schools, things of that nature, which have all turned out really amazing, so.
Howard, would you like to address Councilwoman Bryant's awards concern about the difference? I know that Shannon did a wonderful job with that, but since you are the artist.
Sure. I can understand, from one picture of it straight on. And the thing is plates of steel. So when you're looking at it, the paint job would be rendered so it looks like a real bird. But that says front perspective view there on the screen. It's the second drawing. So you can see that from the front, it would look like, I don't know, say like a Christmas card, a pop-up Christmas card or something. So from the front perspective, it does look like a realistic bird, but it's made from plates of steel that are stacked. So that's what gives it the depth. And the spacing between the wing, the main wing that's closest to us, and the bird body, I tried to describe it in the original proposal that there was enough room for someone to nestle behind the wing, between the body and the wing, like if they were going to take a self-portrait or a selfie with this thing. So I think that was probably, this was my original intent the entire time, but I understand that the original drawing looked like a full bird, but actually it's plates of steel and they're curved, and it's not a fully 3D rounded thing. It's just, yeah, there's a good view of the side view. It's like 3 separate curved plates. And I designed it to the budget that was at hand. So that's the design I came up with to be able to meet the budget.
Okay, Council, any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, yeah, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4, thank you for the presentation and the information. You indicated it's a steel, so so it's painted, and then would there be requirements for any maintenance on an annual basis or every so often?
There shouldn't be. It will have a clear protective coat on it, and that should resist any wear. And if there's any damage from vandalism, I'd include some sort of reference to what it would take to touch it up. But it's maintenance free essentially, unless there's some accident or destruction going on. But it should be 10 years maintenance free if it's just out there in the weather.
Thank you. And then I guess for Ms. Wang and Ms. Phillips, so where on the town hall property would it be located, or has that been determined yet?
Right, right in front, can we show this one?
Oh, did I miss that?
The first sketch that we had kind of showed, he indicated where the town hall would be, so it's kind of on the corner in front. I think Kelly's setting it up now so you can see it.
It's in May 2022. We have a drawing
Okay.
as well. So it's front right corner, right in front of one of the, yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, that was our previous meeting, kind of going over that. And there was a little bit more at our last meeting discussion about what the bird was going to sit on, which is not included in this sculpture, so.
But the footing is, correct, Howard?
Yes, there's a concrete footing underneath it.
Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Wang. Thank you, Director Phipps and Howard. I really appreciate you coming back. I think, I guess I apologize because I was one of those that assumed maybe perhaps that it was a rounded sculpture based on that first picture, and kind of based on our discussion, we were talking about kids getting on it, whether it's a safety hazard or not, kind of mulching underneath, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Just to getting the whole view of it. And I think, just looking at the May photograph again, or the drawing, I think it's pretty easy to kind of come to that conclusion. But with this, I think there are a host of other things that can come up because of the way that the slats are positioned. I mean, I know when we were discussing this previously, the surface was discussed as being not really like a hard metal. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of, I don't know, because this is an attraction in the front of the town hall that people are going to come up to, hang off of, et cetera. Yeah, are there going to be sharp edges here? Are there going to be people that get wedged in between the point A and point B of the top drawing, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I addressed that with giving depth to any sharp edge. So if we could go back to the drawing, if there's a top view, you can see that all three levels, which is 2 wings and a body, have a 4 to 6 inch wide piece of steel that extend past the sharp, well, it's not a sharp edge, but I mean, it would be the edge of the metal, which would be rounded, and it's padded out, so to speak, with a perpendicular piece of metal. So if we can, I don't know if we can see the top view drawing. Is that something you have, Shannon or Kelly?
We have it.
It's on the screen here in the
Okay.
in town council. Yeah.
Okay, I can't see which one you're looking at, but in on my
The one page with the 4 drawings on one page.
right.
We have that one up.
Right. Okay. Yeah, for example, the front perspective view, if we look at that closely, you'll see that the front of the bird beak is not just a sharp piece of metal, it has depth to it, and the depth is contoured, so it's no longer just a plane of metal with a sharp beak. It has a depth to it, which, reduces the sharpness.
Okay. Do we,
And and the tail also, you can see in that picture, if you go to the one below it, not the overview, but the front perspective, you can see both the beak and the tail have thickness to it. So it's no longer just a 3/8 edge of metal, which is not that sharp because it'll be rounded. So it's 3/8 thick, but it has a round profile on every dimension, on every edge.
okay, and any idea, and I think I kind of was thinking about that because of the side view.
Right.
Do you know roughly the distance between that, kind of what it might be like between the main body and then the wing?
I was thinking that might be about 20 inches. So that would give an average person a pretty easy ability to squeeze between the head and the wing, and maybe even use the part that's holding the wing out as a seat. So I curved it like that, so water would run off it, and people could actually just sit there.
See, and just a general idea of the body of the bird, like how wide will this be in the front of the town hall?
The entire thing from beak to tail is 12 feet, and the total height from grade to the highest part is 5.5 feet.
Okay. Okay, I like that we're adding art to the town. I like it. I don't know if I love it right in the front of the town hall area where it is, but I do like the design. I really appreciate you investing in the town of La Plata by designing this. Thank you so much.
Sure. And I like your comment on the front view. I didn't render very well the thickness of the plates. I was really just showing that the three planes of the design were bent, very heavy metal bent in a curved shape. So from the very front view, you can see it here in the fore view on the lower left. You can just, it's pretty clear that each plane is a curved plane. So the wing is curved, the body's curved, and the rear wing is all curved together.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim, do you have any comments? So Howard, first of all, very creative, very avant-garde. Definitely not what I had envisioned. I had in mind, much like others, that it was 3D. In fact, the reason why I had that in mind is because when we talked about sitting on the tail, and my hugest concern is safety. And we talked about the kids, they're going to climb on it. And we were talking about putting rubber matting maybe on the side, around the base of it to make sure that children wouldn't fall off of that. I can only reference my rascal boys when they were younger, and any place to hide would be attraction to them. And this being panels, I see kids going, because Friday night concerts are huge. We have daycares that come in here during the summer. I see them climbing on this, going in between the panels, and I think of it as a huge safety issue. But also, I mean, some parents do lose track of their children every once in a while during a concert, and this is a great hiding place. So those are my concerns. That is not what I had envisioned to have in front of Town Hall, was something that was not 3D. I just thought it would be a 3D. I don't know if this is the right placement for it, or perhaps, and I'm not one to want to scrap a project, but maybe more simple. We're going after the look of our purple martin. That is our town bird. What if it were, and it comes back to something I've said for a year or two, just as simple as having the wings of the purple martin up there as a place where people can take pictures of it. It's an attraction. And I'm very simple when it comes to art. This is extremely creative, but my concern is definitely safety for the town and for the children involved.
I appreciate that. And I have worked with several playgrounds. Notably, the Discovery Playground was under my art direction, and safety, we worked with a safety team, and I understand a lot of the things that are required for that. And, to comply with that, a lot of sharp things are the major points. And one thing about the tail is that it does have a 4 to 6 inch wide seat all the way up the back of the bird. So we talked about if people wanted to sit on the tail or something, that would be provided for by that seating area, which is a strip of metal like 4 to 6 inches all the way up from head to tail. So that would also reduce the sharpness of the tail and provide, a flat area rather than an edge area. And as far as obscuring children or having them hide behind it is a possibility. And I don't know if it's any greater than the bushes that exist there already, where kids could hide in the bushes. So I don't know if this adds too much more of a hiding place. There is, in this version, I have some I-beams that hold it up that I thought if we didn't want a current concrete footing put in that area, this would be freestanding with that additional I-beam. If we did want to commit to the footing and put that in the ground there, then I could remove the I-beam, and that gives it a little more visibility underneath the bird for feet or kids trying to hide or something like that. So if that element was removed, then I think that would help address that concern of, anyone trying to hide behind the thing. But of course, it is it's a 5-foot tall plate of steel. So certainly someone could stand behind it.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Please.
In the interest of using the grant funds from Destination Southern Maryland that we've had for almost 2 years, I would be really reluctant to scrap the project entirely and start over. Would the council be open to relocating the sculpture to another part of downtown? Because the whole point of the grant was to attract tourism to the downtown area.
Do you have a proposed site?
We do. We don't have an established MOU with the site yet, but we are working on that, and then that MOU is in with the attorney right now.
And that site that you're proposing, I think might be, in my opinion, only speaking for myself, more suitable.
Okay.
But council, would you be more comfortable having it still in the downtown area, but maybe not?
I am fine with where we proposed it to be. I watch those little kids. Kids are going to be kids, and they're going to get onto anything. I mean, they climb onto the little boxes out there that cover the lights. We can't avoid that. And the intent was to put it in front of our town hall, and I think it will be fine there. I don't see the issue with children.
And are you fine with the
Mhm.
drawing?
I
as
am.
presented? Okay.
I guess the key question is supposed to be interactive with children playing on it, or is it supposed to be
Yes,
strictly a
sir.
visual display? And if so, strictly as the visual display, you can put a little railing around it to quote, keep the children out of it. Or is the intent so that children can play on it?
The intent was to have a focal point, have something that represented Bird City, and a selfie spot, like a spot where you would pose with you or your family. And the interaction as far as like sitting or, maybe a mini slide down the small tail there is an added bonus, really. But the intent was to interact with it. Yeah.
Touch, heels, sit on, the whole thing.
Yes.
So we're looking for approval on the final design. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It catches my eyes, it accomplished its goal. Whether it's there at the front of the town hall or someplace else we think about it, I think it's nice, creative and such. So,
Mr. Connolly, I apologize, Madam Mayor, if I'm talking out of turn, but I remember part of this discussion previously was on color and maintenance as it related to color. There is color elements to this because of the color of the bird, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's tones because the purple martin is the natural coloration is got some subtleties in it, but I think I can't remember the word we used before. It wasn't iridescence, but a paint that had some shine to it, and then some variations to show off the different parts of the wings and parts of the happy face.
I recall that being part of our maintenance discussion at some point. Okay, thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And oh, no worries. And how much did you say it weighs? And how easy is it to tip?
The I-beam base, it makes it fairly untippable. I mean, I don't know what the wind load would be exactly, but I've extended the beam. This particular picture that's highlighted now on my screen, maybe on your screens too, I would extend that I-beam out of the front a little more. And there's a in the other, the drawing that has 4 drawings, you can see the I-beam is well going behind the thing. I think I should extend that all out a little bit in the front, and then it would be freestanding, and then we wouldn't have to put the footer in. And if we wanted to move it around, then we could move it. It's going to weigh around 1,000 pounds. I got in my plans right now, it looks like I'm calculating between like 1,700 and 2,300, somewhere in the middle of there. So it won't move on its own. And if we don't do the footing, then we could, try it in a place or try it in another place and not leave a footing behind. And it would be freestanding in the grass.
Okay, thank you for that. That answers my question. All right, any other comments? And they're looking for if
Consensus.
it's not a consensus, I think we have to have a vote to move
Some
it forward.
consensus and then
Mr. Manuel.
I believe a consensus is all is needed, Madam Mayor, as it's not legislation.
Okay.
Could we get a consensus on construction? If we-
Design.
Mhm.
So maybe do one without the other. If you like the design, then yes, the design, but then I know the location seems to be another point that the council has discussed. So I will leave that up to your discretion. But I think the important thing, as Ms. Phipps said, this is utilizing grant money and we need to sort of move the project forward.
All right, so we're looking for a consensus first on the design.
I support the design. I actually support the location.
Okay,
I agree with the design. I think it's great to have another touch point, another interactive place for us downtown. We need more of that. I appreciate the presentation. So thank you.
Councilman Brightwood,
I support the design and the location.
Councilman Jenkins.
I'm okay with the design, particularly since additional clarification was provided. And then the location, I'm kind of neutral. I mean, I would not be averse being a no location, but that's maybe for another day.
Seems we have a consensus to move forward with final design and with the location.
In front of town hall.
Fantastic.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is FY22 budget amendments. I see Bob. This one's for you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
Oh, so first of all.
It's all you, honey. It's
Sorry,
all
I'm just
you.
waiting for the questions. First of all, I just want to just put out there that it's been an honor for me to join the town and the institution. I've truly been very happy making the transition here. And I am very optimistic of the future for not just the finance department, but the town as well. So just wanted to put that out there. But what I have in front of you today is just a brief review of our fiscal 22 budget appropriations. As you all are aware, we are winding up our fiscal 22 audit. And as a part of that, we review all of our final account balances. We kind of look at our over and under, so to speak, and then make adjustments accordingly. This particular fiscal year, we did not have many. And if there are any questions related to these reappropriations, please feel free. Again, not many there to review.
Council, any questions?
Pretty straight.
It looks like we don't have any. You did an amazing job. And I guess we'll see this later on if I'll get a consensus if we're okay to move forward and perhaps see this later on with legislation.
Yes.
Councilman Goldsmith, you good? Moving on, Councilman Trolinger? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks for bringing it forward and the clarification. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, next is Chief with your cert gear.
I thought we moved that off the agenda.
We moved the drone off.
I thought he said 4-3 and 4-3 something.
You want to start? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hey.
We have a proposal tonight, and Lieutenant Bailey's our residential expert on this. He also works with the officers who are assigned to the Charles County CERT team, which does search and rescue and prepares for civil disturbance. In June 2020, we had gatherings reference the death of George Floyd. They occurred in every community just about across the United States, large communities, small communities, and it included La Plata. During that first week of June 2020, there were numerous gatherings at the county government complex here in La Plata. Our officers worked hand in hand with members of the Charles County Sheriff's Office and the Maryland State Police for several evenings. Fortunately, the gatherings here in La Plata were peaceful. However, it wasn't that way in other parts of Southern Maryland. Currently, we have 11 officers assigned to the Charles County Sheriff's Office CERT team. And as I said, the team routinely prepares and trains together for search and rescue missions, civil disturbance, and how to manage large public gatherings. Most recently, the Charles County CERT team held a regional training here in La Plata with other allied law enforcement partners, including the Calvert County and St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office. As we have learned time and again in this profession, training, preparation, and proper equipment is the keys to success anytime you have a major police-related event. As active partners in the Charles County Sheriff's Office CERT team, it's important for us to understand that our officers can be deployed anywhere in the Washington metropolitan area should an event occur. That event could occur 3,000 miles away from here, and we could have things happening just about anywhere. But it's also important to keep in mind that those same officers that we would be responding to assist would respond to Southern Maryland if there's an incident. There's no agency large enough, as we saw at the Capitol on January 6th, to handle civil disturbance on their own. The equipment the agency is requesting to purchase is identical to that being utilized by our allied law enforcement partners at the Calvert St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office. It's our understanding that the Charles County, or at the Calvert and St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office, it's our understanding that our partners at the Charles County Sheriff's Office is working to secure funding to upgrade their equipment to that we would be carrying if this ARPA purchase is approved tonight, and what our partners are in other parts of Southern Maryland. Aside from the civil disturbance gear that we're requesting, the quote also includes a ballistic helmet for every officer in our agency. That equipment is long overdue. We are running more and more calls for people with guns, and we have to have our officers prepared and equipped to deal with those situations. We have some civil disturbance gear that we have used. And Bobby will give you a brief explanation about new standards or whatever. That gear will be kept and maintained. When you send a CERT team out to help somebody, they're only good for about 8 to 12 hours. And then if the event would go longer, the secondary officers have to come in and they have to have equipment. And that's the equipment we would give to our people that would come in and do the relief. The equipment will be purchased under the current Maryland state contract. We are requesting to use ARPA funds that we had set aside for this purchase. And we have reviewed this purchase with our ARPA consultant, and he told us it was fine to go ahead and move forward. So I'll let Bobby just explain briefly about the gear.
As Chief Center mentioned, we've been a part of the Charles County team for quite a number of years. The Charles County Sheriff's Office, Calvert County, and St. Mary's, and ourselves are kind of working more towards having a Southern Maryland, like a regional team. Calvert County and St. Mary's County have already signed agreements on mutual or memo of understanding with District of Columbia and the Capitol Police. And I foresee Charles County moving forward with that here soon too. Obviously, as part of the team and a regional team, we'd be called up. This is the same gear that U.S. Capitol Police just recently purchased, also the Metropolitan Police Department. And I believe the Maryland State Police is getting ready to move to the same type of gear. The gear we have now is in decent shape. However, there's no national, there was up until last year or so, there was really no national standard for civil disturbance gear. There's working towards a national standard now towards gear. This gear meets the national standards that's being proposed and is probably going to be accepted here in the very, very near future. As Chief Center stated, our current gear would be for backup officers who aren't necessarily assigned to the team, or for other officers to come in afterwards. But again, we're training with these other partners and everything else, and it would be beneficial to have the same gear they have that meets the national standard that's getting ready to come out.
So from the lessons we've learned in law enforcement over the past few years, especially since Ferguson moving forward into Minneapolis, is that most of the time police agencies have a reasonably good relationship with local folks, and you can reach out to them. The biggest threat are the people coming in from the outside. Having sat through the Freddie Gray debriefing that was done by the commissioner, they had videos of people coming in, dropping off rocks and bricks and leaving. So we know that a lot of the catalysts that come in, if there's a large event, are not the folks who live locally for the most. It's usually people from the outside. For us, it's about being prepared. It's about being part of a regional team and knowing that should something happen in Southern Maryland, those same folks are going to come here to help us.
And if I can add, we worked the last two inaugurations with the unrest that was at President Trump's inauguration. We were 3 blocks from that, so we were close by to the action. And even with the unrest that was in Baltimore a few years ago, the Charles County Sheriff's Office got activated to that. We weren't part of their team, and that's what brought us on part of their team. They realized they needed more people too. So it's not uncommon that we would be put into a situation where there's unrest and events going on.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll open the floor to council. Any questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward, Ward 3. So this is for 11 officers.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you have 11 officers on the CERT team,
Yes.
and that's it?
Yes.
Is there a plan to add additional officers as we bring officers on, or will it always just be 11?
Originally, we started out with just 6. As the department's grown, we've added more. We can always use more help out there, but again, the CERT team has more specialized training than the whole department does.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to. As we get rid of the grow, yes, maybe we might bring more on. However, I don't want to, if an incident happened, activate the entire team and not have anybody get back here to replace this too. So that's why I try to manage it based on our staffing levels.
So I guess I was really trying to get to the cost for one officer. I'm calculating about $5,600 per officer. So if we were to add more officers, how would we plan to get that same level of equipment for them? That's really where I was headed with that.
We would budget it as we grow. Taking the $65,000 hit to bring everybody up to speed is tough, but finding $5,000 to $10,000 as we add an officer is much easier.
Okay.
As Lieutenant Bagley said, we have to have folks that are going to stay here. So a lot of times what you found, and we found it in Greenville because we responded because we were close to the District of Columbia on several events, we automatically went to 12-hour shifts at home to send people that were trained to go down and help with those things.
So when we buy this equipment and just say one of the 11 leaves, that's our equipment?
Yeah, that's our equipment.
Okay. That's
And it's size specific, so buying some speculation stuff, probably, not everybody's a medium or whatever it is, so that's why we came. I think we asked for, you got enough in here for 12, right? I think
11.
for one extra.
It's 11.
Maybe not, okay.
It's 11.
Right, and we have 11 this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And go ahead, Councilman.
Real quick, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. thank you again for bringing this forward. And I'm just, I guess, a couple of comments. It's good that obviously it's standardized and they're going to a national standard. So the equipment would be stored in your facility and only used when needed.
That's correct.
And then are there any maintenance you need to do the equipment other than just cleaning, or is this?
Now, it's pretty
Okay.
maintenance free.
And what's the expected life? I guess it depends upon the usage, but it typically how long would this stuff last?
Yeah, more or less based on the usage. The gas mask that we're currently using right now, they said they're usually good for about 10 years. We haven't reached that yet with the mask that we currently have. But again, a lot of it's on usage. We train usually quarterly with the Charles County Sheriff's
Okay.
Office. Now we're incorporating with Howard and St. Mary's in there. So we're putting gear on, using it, making sure everything is working usually quarterly. But basically, yeah, usage.
And then I suspect, like the Army, you go back and do maintenance on it too as well.
Yes.
And then just a speculation. So will you be called up to support the governor's inauguration?
We were asked to do that, yes.
Mhm.
We were requested if we wanted to. It wasn't where we were needed. We were requested if we wanted to participate. We are not right now doing that because of some staffing levels right now. If it was an emergency situation, I
Sure.
don't think that we would respond.
Okay.
But we slightly declined the request right now.
Thank you.
One of the things that we found was longevity of the equipment is equal to the storage. So if you store it correctly and you maintain it, you get a lot more longevity. And from the military, yeah, don't expect what you don't inspect.
Thank you.
So Chief, I have just one more question. What's the 24? Everything else is 11 each, and then I see the 2 and 3, but that's something different. We've got 24 each of full cut cam fit, Epic Air Fit pad sets. Each is $582. Why 24?
Yeah, that's the ballistic helmets. I'm sorry. Yes.
So the ballistic helmets is for every officer,
Yeah,
not the CERT team.
Yeah, and
Okay.
those will be stored in their cruisers.
Okay,
So when they run those high-risk calls, they have the availability for a ballistic helmet.
okay.
And I do have a question of one item here, which I'm excited about, but it is very specific. Boots, air powered, pro women's wide, size 10. And there's 11 of them.
That may just be how they printed out the quote.
Because I'm thinking, do we have 11 women with big feet that are coming in, which is very exciting, but there is, the way that it said it, that caught my
That may have
eye.
just been how they worded the quote when they put the quote together. The boots will be sized to the individual officers.
Okay, because it was very specific with a 10 wide as a size, so, well, there goes my excitement there. Any other questions on that?
I have a couple questions. Thank you for the presentation. I know it's labeled CERT, but this all looks like basically crowd control / riot gear type of items. Is that fair? I know that's a very lay person, probably not.
Well, CERT is the name
Friendly.
of the team.
It's
Gotcha.
Special Emergency Response Team. is the name of the
But
team.
these items, you're not gonna need a shield. Well, depends. Search and rescue. Maybe you can inform me a little bit about how this plays into, because I see these items and I think, how many municipalities are getting these items the same way that a county or a state police or SWAT team generally would, right? So, I know the need for them, but always be prepared, always be ready. Anything can happen anywhere. But explaining to a resident, we're not militarizing our local police department with riot gear. We're just being prepared in case we need it. I'm having that disconnect, right? So maybe you could share what a resident may have concern about with that.
So the CERT team is a team and they have multiple functions in that team. One is search and rescue, one is civil disturbance. Here in town, we have had these guys dress out because of sovereign citizens. I have to equip my people to survive whatever they're going to encounter. These same sovereign citizens fought officers with firearms. just outside of town, and our people responded to help the sheriff's office. This is not something that they're wearing on a regular basis. This is when things are going bad. Even down in DC, when they're working inaugurations or other details, and having worked in Greenbelt, work International Monetary Fund protest and all the other sorts of things that have gone on down there. A lot of that times, like you normally do, you keep that gear stashed away until it's absolutely needed. This is not about militarizing our law enforcement agency. It's about being prepared. We, like any other community, could have an incident here. And we're going to expect law enforcement officers from around the state to come in and help us. We should be able to reciprocate that being part of a regional team. As I said, you know, as we saw on January 6th, things at the Capitol did not cool down until Montgomery County and Fairfax police departments got there to help them. And that's one of the largest police departments in the nation at the Capitol. So I have no desire to militarize this police department, but I do have the desire to make sure my people are dressed for success when it happens, even if it's the 1%.
Well, I mean, as we've talked about on many of these requests, saves a life, resident, police officer. I mean, what do you put a price on that, right? I mean, that's worth the investment. So I appreciate that explanation.
It's like the shield that we bought.
Exactly.
We didn't know if we were ever going to use that shield. To me, that shield probably saved the life of an individual because it bought time for our officers in one of the most stressful situations they may ever encounter in their career.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
That's exactly the point that I was going to make, is that shield. And it is a worst case scenario, and we encountered the worst case scenario, and it did help. So any questions, comments?
No, I think obviously if we're going to be doing this, and it sounds like we should be doing it, to support our community and our neighbors, then we need to be dressed properly.
All right, so I'm looking for a consensus to see if we move this forward to legislation. All right.
Yes.
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 All right, we will be seeing this later on. Thank you very much, Chief and Lieutenant, for the presentation and answering our questions. Appreciate that. All right, moving on. Director Stahl.
Members of the council. The item that we're here to discuss tonight really isn't for council approval. It is below, as you can see, council approval levels. It was just to really inform you of another ARPA item, and that is that we're working to upgrade our GIS system, and that we are upgrading both the, excuse me, the handheld RTK unit where we actually go out and mark, as well as the software migration to upgrade. We've been utilizing GIS now in La Plata since 2008. We have had to upgrade numerous times, and this was just one where we are upgrading. And it's not something, it's more informational for you and just to see what we're doing with it. We are working with our consultant, Spatial Systems, and so we do work with them directly. And so we're, just doing the upgrade. You can see the amount is generally way below what we would bring to council. It's not for any approval. It's just to inform you of what we're doing with the GIS. I think that the council is very aware of the importance of our GIS system, and to constantly, the thing that actually happened was that the software that we used was for an older Windows system that we no longer utilize. So it actually made the GIS, or the GPS software that we utilized unusable. So we had to buy a whole new unit. And that's important because it allows us to then, when we go out and find utilities or we have breaks, we can go out in the field and actually mark where those are. When we find that utilities aren't where they are supposed to be and that they're there, we can go out in the field and mark those, and then we pass those locations back to Spatial Systems and they upgrade our system. And to be honest, we are in desperate need of this upgrade so that we can start utilizing it again to be able to mark different locations and what we have. So I appreciate just the opportunity to come forward and to talk to you about it.
Thank you
Happy to
for
answer.
being proactive on that too, and letting us know. Of course, with computer systems, they're only as good as the next window, right? So I will open the floor up to council.
Madam Mayor, Director Stahl, Mr. Marr did a really great job of explaining what it is. But what I don't understand, it says server migration. Is that moving data from one?
It's a whole, it's really not server migration. It's software migration is really what
Okay.
it is. Is that
Okay.
we're migrating to a newer software to utilize with the system because now it works with our Windows that we have upgraded.
Okay.
The older system was on a Windows platform that we no longer supported. So we're really upgrading that and
Okay.
bringing in the new hardware as well. So that's
Okay.
what this is.
Madam Mayor, I have a clarification question. Again, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. So thanks for that explanation. So is the server physically off-site?
Correct. We
Okay.
actually use a server that's through Amazon.
Amazon, right, so it's
Amazon,
off-site,
Yeah,
okay.
we're operating in the cloud.
Got it.
And so we still operate in the cloud, but we have our own utilization for our Windows system that we have to download into. And so it was no longer, the old system was no longer supported.
So this migration then will help you catch up and then update all the information you've collected over the years and recently. Is that?
Correct. We
Okay.
will probably, to
Okay.
be honest, we'll probably have to go out and do some more relocation with the new software, but it is clearly a handheld, it's a
Yeah.
pole mounted unit
Yeah.
where we just go out and locate this, put the information in what it is, go to the next, locate that. It really allows us to clarify a lot of the points in our
Mhm.
our database, because that's really all it is just a spatialized database. And, really allows us to go out there and to, keep track of where things actually are in the ground while we've got things uncovered. So we clearly need this upgrade. And as I say, it's not generally something we would bring to the council,
Sure. Okay.
but it is just informational.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our next order, and that is FY 24 financial plan budget matters of information.
Madam Mayor, Town Council, you will see the tentative budget calendar that we've put together for you. Don't have any more to add. Would entertain questions if you have them. But we will be kicking that process off a little later than usual. But we feel very comfortable that we'll be able to get it complete prior to the June 30th date.
I was hoping we'd kick it off on January 30th.
Oh, yeah.
And the council, do you have any questions on this calendar?
Madam Mayor, I just have one clarification question, if I might, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. Again, thanks for putting this together. I know it's a big effort. I just asked a question. So when the department heads or directors are, as part of their package, are they going to be referring back to the adopted strategic plan and the comp plan as guides?
Yeah, that is the intention. I believe tentatively next week we have scheduled sort of a review of our strategic plan. So yeah, I think, if I'd like to get into a scoring system, especially for capital expenditures, which correlates to both the strategic plan as well as the comprehensive plan. To sort of, as we go into ranking, things are a little skewed now with ARPA funds. But as we move out of that sort of environment into your more typical funding environment, I think in the future it will benefit us to sort of make sure that the projects we are funding are core to the mission of the organization. So that's the intent.
Thank you for that clarification. And then is it anticipated that the ARPA plan will be revised or updated or amended as necessary?
Yes, I believe that will be part of this process. Due to, we pushed a lot of the funding of specific materials forward due to supply chain issues. So we will readjust that budget for FY '24 as well.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other comments? Thank you very much. Brings us to 5.2, the annexation referendum petition update.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Town Council, the town received 2 petitions for referendum for Resolution 22-01, the Hub annexation, and Resolution 22-03, Hawthorne Yards annexation on 5 January. Charles County Board of Elections provided the town the number of active registered voters in the town on June 6th. The total number of active registered voters as of said date was determined to be 7,379, meaning that each petition would require 1,476 signatures to meet the 20% threshold for the petition be placed for the resolutions on a ballot for referendum, excuse me. The number of signatures accepted but unverified for Resolution 22-01, the Hub, was 631, and the number of signatures accepted but unverified for Resolution 22-03, Hawthorne Yards, was 675. Therefore, the petitions do not meet the threshold of Section 4-409 of the local government articles to place the resolutions on a ballot for referendum.
Thank you. And before I open the floor up, I just want to commend Interim Director Phipps and our town clerk, Craig Hauer, on handling this process. It was a process unfamiliar to many and has been done once before, years and years ago. And so this was an on-the-job training, and you guys did beautiful with that. So thank you for that. And I also want to commend the citizens, the 675 citizens that were passionate enough to sign the petition and have their voice be heard or brought forward here. It's all a process, and the engagement is really appreciated. I love that we have at least one faithful citizen come out every meeting and is engaged. And I encourage everyone to do that. We are elected to work on your behalf. So if something is unclear, contact us. I'm willing to sit down and speak with you and explain what process are, hear your concerns, but I really want to applaud those who were passionate enough to sign the petition. Open it up for any comments from the council.
Madam Mayor, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4, you use the term unverified signatures. Does that mean then that the signatures address could not be verified or they're outside the town boundaries?
Typically, as I said, the petition was received on Thursday. They're unverified because we have not sent them to the the Charles County Board of Elections. They had indicated initially that they would review due to the number and it being under the threshold. That's something we could still do to see if they would still verify to firm up that number. If that's the will of the council, we can still do that.
I would love to have the process completed from A to Z and have it move forward if that is the consensus. It is a learning process for not only the town, but for the Board of Elections and for the citizens, the residents. So if it is not a burden and they're still willing to verify the signatures and actually point out what can be done in a better manner, I would really appreciate that. But I will go with the consensus.
In my mind, they needed 1,400 roughly, let's put it that way. They had 600, but less than 50%. Why expend the man hours to verify those 600 when even if they are verified, doesn't make any difference?
That's, I hear you.
And so I don't support it.
Okay.
And what kind of man hours are we talking about? We're reaching out to the county board of elections to verify that signatures match addresses that are within the town boundaries. I mean,
Yeah, and I do not know what the man hours would be to verify, 675 at the top end. I imagine it could be a half a day to a day of another outside organization's time.
I think this is gonna come off very pointed. I don't know how to soften it, but based on the fact that we did the vote the week before, or within a week of a major holiday, and the majority of the public was not here, even though they had been engaged leading up to the vote itself. I think the least that we can do is verify the signatures of the interested residents that took the time to sign the annexation petition. I don't think that's out of line or too much of a cost when, as Madam Mayor mentioned, we are accountable to the people and the residents of our town. So, they didn't get the signatures. I understand, absolutely. It's not going to change what the process is. But I think as far as validating the process, as Madam Mayor was alluding to, I think it's essentially the least we can do. And I think that's just my opinion. We should do that. And in the future, yes, we did what we were supposed to do as far as making the announcement, and it's on the agenda, et cetera. But when we have an interested public, and we know about it because they've come out, as Madam Mayor has mentioned, they've come out and they should be interested. I think we need to make it more available schedule wise than I think that we did. So I think we should verify signatures.
Thank you. Council.
Councilman Trolinger, I'm not understanding. There was no vote. When we passed the annexation, they had 45 days once we signed it to get their signatures, and that was on the public, not on us in any way. So we didn't schedule anything. They had 45 days to get it done, and that was the end of January 6th at 4 p.m. That's not anything that we scheduled. That's just how it played out. Reading the instructions and what has to happen with these signatures, they had to have 1,400 signatures, 20% of the registered voters. They had 600 on each ballot. Vetting whether they were or were not in the town, to me, adds no value to the conversation. They didn't get the 1,400. So we vet the 600, and it turns out to be that 200 actually are in the town and registered voters. I don't know what the value of that is. It's not that we didn't complete the process. The process was completed when the signatures weren't obtained. So I guess I'm just trying to understand the value in verifying and vetting either 600 or less than 600 signatures for the process. How does that add value to the residents who went out and made the effort?
I appreciate your opinion, and I understand as
Not an
Councilman.
opinion, it's the facts.
Well, no, your opinion. Well, I appreciate that. The fact is, it's not going to change the process, right? My opinion is that in order to be fully transparent and accountable to the residents, and we can verify the signatures, the fact is, it's not going to change the process. I get that. My opinion is that we should still continue that process, verify the signatures. You disagree with that? I understand, that's fine.
No, I just want to understand the lack of transparency in us not doing it. Where are we not transparent? That's what I'm just trying to understand.
I didn't say that we're not being transparent by not doing that. I think to be fully transparent and vote and count the votes as they've come in is what we should do as a local municipality government. I don't understand this idea that it's it's too much of a cost or too much of a burden to be responsible then back to the people that have signed the petition. I think that's what we can do and should do. And that's my opinion. You disagree with it, that's okay. Everybody may disagree with it, that's fine. You can
I just asked for
disagree in that
clarification, not
language.
disagreement. I'm asking for clarification. I wanted to understand because she said to be fully transparent, and I don't see where the lack of transparency. And you said to count the signatures. They're already counted. It's 600 on roughly 600 on each ballot. All we'll do now is determine with manpower. And yes, it is, I can imagine, it's going to be time consuming to sit and go through the computer, identify the signature, but that's neither here nor there. I don't understand what value that adds. And I was just asking for you to explain that to me. It's not a
Yeah,
disagreement.
No, well, we disagree, right? We disagree.
No, I just want to understand.
All right, so I think the role, and this may be where we kind of maybe not disagree, okay, but we have differences in how we're approaching this matter. But I think the role of a town government and any representative government is to go through the full process. I think going through the full process is verifying the signatures, and that's okay. It's not too much of a burden to do that. That's my opinion. I appreciate you don't think that's part of the process. That's fine. Maybe Mr. Manuel will tell me it's too much of a cost for our town to undertake that. Excuse me. I get it, but that's my vote for that process, okay?
If I may, to muddy the situation even further, the town clerk has just indicated that the Board of Elections will not certify the signatures because of the lack of meeting the threshold. So we would be doing it internally, which I would imagine would be them providing us the voter rolls, and we would go through the list internally to certify the names, which is irrelevant. It's just, I just wanted to make sure we understood that we would be doing that in-house, which could be done over a period of time as opposed to telling an outside organization, we'd like to have this done, and then the pressure of that situation. So nothing changes. I just wanted to let you know that communication has happened between the Board of Elections.
Dr. Harrington wanted to chime in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to let everyone know that we do have access to SpecPrint, which is the SStat system behind the scenes. So all you have to do is type the person's name in and it spits it out. So we could do that fairly quickly. It wouldn't be an issue.
This afternoon, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. That is new information that I did not know about the Board of Elections. Yeah, no, always, it's always evolving. Councilman Jenkins.
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. My opinion is that I would concur with Councilman Trollinger, and I think we need to complete the process, regardless of it does or does not meet certain things. And to be very blunt about it, these have all been very controversial. And so in order to be crystal clear, we need to, in my opinion, we need to finish the process. And if it costs some money, so be it.
All right, so
Thank
we
you.
have a consensus here to finish the process. I thank everyone for stating your thoughts on that. And there is no imposed time limit on that, but if Mr. Manuel, you would let us know when that is completed, and that would be appreciated. Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to legislation. Ordinance 23-01 FY22 budget amendment for introduction. We are not voting on this. Is that correct? It's not for consideration.
Yes, you are voting on it. It's
Okay,
an
we're
emergency.
just-
It's an emergency ordinance. Also.
Say-
So we passed upon adoption.
Introduction and consideration. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
for introduction and consideration of adoption, an emergency ordinance concerning amendment to Town of La Plata fiscal year 2022 fiscal plan budget for the purpose of amending the Town of La Plata fiscal year 2022 FY22 financial plan budget and all matters generally relating thereto.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 23-01?
Madam Mayor, I make a recommendation we adopt emergency ordinance 23-01.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to resolution item 6.3, resolution 23-02.
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is for introduction and consideration of adoption, a resolution concerning La Plata Police Department purchase of civil disturbance protective gear for the purpose of authorizing the town manager to enter into a contract purchase agreement of civil disturbance protective gear for the La Plata Police Department.
Right, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 23-02 as presented?
Madam Mayor, I would make a motion that we adopt resolution 23-02, La Plata Police Department purchase of civil disturbance protective gear as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Brings us down to, since this is our new year, we no longer have what's called work sessions. We have regular meetings. So our agendas will always look the same. If you are so moved to do a commission's report at this time, let it go. If not, we can do it because many of us have not met this year. So if you do not have a commission report, just.
I do have one.
You do? All right, I love it.
It was canceled because there was no activity,
Okay, thank you very much.
but I had a report.
All right, Councilman Trollinger, can you beat that?
I cannot beat that. I cannot beat that.
No
No
report?
report.
All right, Councilwoman Bryant Ward?
I can beat that.
All right, I
So
love
the
it.
planning commission met on January the 3rd, and we approved the Pine Grove Neighborhood O Phase 1 final plat. Pine Grove, what was it, Phase 2, Neighborhood O Phase 2, the final plat. Pine Grove Neighborhood A, the preliminary plat. We discussed the draft of the adequate public facilities ordinance. We will have a meeting on January the 18th at 6 p.m. to further discuss the APFO in a special meeting. So the planning commissioners and Jamie Kendricks will be there, and we'll be discussing elements of the APFO.
Thank you very much. Great report. And Councilman Jenkins?
Thank you, Councilman Jenkins, Ward 4. My only report is that the Parks and Recreation Commission is meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30 via virtual meeting. And we have a great agenda. Thank you.
Fantastic. I hope people tune in. And upcoming events, all I want to say is Happy New Year. This is starting off to be a wonderful, wonderful year. And I know tomorrow legislative session starts for Maryland. So many of us are involved with that. So we will be geeking out with reading lots of bills and realizing what's coming out of the Senate and House up there. So I wish everyone a very, very happy new year. I think 2023 is going to be a fabulous year. And with that, we have 2 reasons to go into closed session. So I will entertain a motion for 8.1 to go into closed session from anyone who would like to. All right, I will. We have a reason to go into closed session based on the statutory authority to close session, state government article, chapter 3-305B10 to discuss public security. If the council of the town of La Plata determines that public discussion would constitute a risk to the public or public security, including 1, the deployment of fire and police services and staff, and 2, the development of implementation of emergency plans. And the reason going into closed session is IT security update. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll do roll call for going into closed session. Councilman Goldsmith.
Approved.
Councilman Trollinger. Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
and Mayor James, yes. The second reason to go into closed session following the first closed session is State Government Article Chapter 3-305B14. Before a contract is awarded or bids are opened, discuss a matter directly related to a negotiating strategy or the contents of a bid or proposal. If public discussion or disclosure would adversely impact the ability of the public body to participate in the competitive bidding or proposal process, and it is 6355 Crane Highway. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll take roll call to go into closed session. Councilman Goldsmith,
Yes.
Councilman Challenger,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bryant Ward,
Yes.
Councilman Jenkins,
Yes.
Mayor James, yes. And at this point, I move to adjourn at 7:21. Thank you very much for a great meeting.